In part 4 of Travel Geek Documentary Thailand, I do a little trash talking about the tourism in Koh Phangan's party beaches. Then I ferry back to the mainland, where I ride through the countryside, take in skyward vistas on a quick paramotor adventure, and head to the ancient city of Nakhorn Si Thammarat. I stay in NST straight through to the final episode, but while there, I explore temples, parks, and history, before heading off to Krabi and Phuket to close out the miniseries. If I haven't said this before in my documentaries, I generally don't go in for the tourist beat. I don't like the lack of culture and big, foreign crowds. I don't like that much of the tourist drag channels the lion's share of the profits to already wealthy corporate conglomerates that swoop in and grab up real estate, make backroom deals, and prop up disgusting blemishes on the landscape when they construct yet another 5-star hotel. But I especially abhor the lack of respect for the local culture that generally surrounds large groups of party-seeking travelers. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about traveling light and enjoying the local flavor. But when I see hordes of drunken gap-year 20-somethings descending on a poverty-stricken village that can't afford to turn down the money brought in from partygoers, only to find out that they have polluted the rivers with beer cans, vomited next to ancient shrines, and had sex on the lawns of 1,000-year-old temples, it reminds me why we have such a difficult time bridging the gap between cultures. And if you think I'm being harsh or unrealistic, I've seen these activities with my own eyes. The indignance is shameful, and nowhere is this better exemplified than on the island of Koh Phangan. The locals have seen an explosion in popularity of things like full moon parties and pool parties, and the fallout is devastating. The remnants of the long nights of crowded party beaches wash up on the banks and clog waterways for miles, and that's just what the ocean happens to have pushed back on its tides. There's really no way to calculate the amount of waste that's deposited into the Gulf of Thailand, the South China Sea, and further out into the Pacific Ocean. But the locals know full well the cost of the Western mentality for party beaches in the third world.
It's really crowded. It doesn't matter what time you go. Midday seems to be midday and on seems to be a heavier load of people. So basically it's best to wait. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, you're gonna wait. The best advice I can offer would be to wait over there in the shade, because once you get here, it's still a big waiting game. But the difference is, now you're in the sun.
Just getting to Koh Phangan is wrought with delays from overcrowding. But once you're there, there's a different way that you can enjoy Koh Phangan than just partying. Of course, you can laze around on the beach. Not only does this cost nothing, but it also offers the opportunity to slow the pace a bit and get the feel for the island mentality. You can go snorkeling or even get your scuba diving certification here. At the time of filming, Koh Phangan, Koh Tao, and Koh Samui were among the cheapest places in the world to get certified qualifications. Just like in other parts of Thailand, there are also historic temples. And of course, you can hop on a motorbike and cruise the entire island.
Alright, so we're here at Hadrin Beach. Hadrin Beach is the famous beach for all of the parties. I mean, if you've heard of anything about the parties, you've heard of them taking place here. But they're all over the island. I mean, the big ones are here. There's Paradise Party, which is, we passed that on the way, and there's a couple of other ones previous to that. But this is the location that you see in all the touristy party videos. Let's go check it out. Well, this is it, the beautiful white sands of Phangan. And now most of the beaches along the coast of Phangan are actually quite perfect for the party scene. If you look at it from a map or from a satellite view, you'll see all these little coves. Each one of them just perfect, nice, soft white sand. Each one of them in an isolated cove that juts way out, literally in the shape of waves. And it literally creates waves all the way up one of the various coasts of Koh Phangan. Isolated though it may be, I'm sure the noise carries over And if that doesn't carry over, the energy certainly carries over into all of the following coves. And this is it. This is where all those party videos come from. Now, if I was interested in seeing people party until they puke, I would definitely hang out tonight, but I'm going to keep today's filming just for like half a day in Phangan and then head back to Koh Samui so that we can pick up a Muay Thai fight, and I'm going to hope to also interview a guy about fighting buffaloes. For some reason that seems a little more fun than partying till you puke. Of course, I think I've had more than my share of parties where I end up naked anyway, so.
All the island's activities can be found by inquiring with the local hotels, where they also rent out bikes, set up tours of the island, and even offer discounts for groups or packages. Just a little bit up the road from the ferry terminal, in the sleepy village of Koh, you can actually see Koh Samui right from the beach. For very few tourists, plenty of amazing friendly locals, and a laid-back nightlife, I highly recommend a visit to Koh. Ask the locals, who can also give you directions to the local waterfall and its brisk swimming pool.
All of the paradise beaches can be filled with tourists 24 hours a day, but this one is more of an expat beach. It's kind of like the hidden paradise of Thailand. And now I realize that while I'm saying this, I'm kind of giving away that particular little secret and may ruin it for all time. But for now, it's really, really amazing. The first time I came here in 2009, 2010, it was just kind of like a just sleepy little party beach, just for the locals and expats and locals' wives and husbands and things like that. They would come out here on the weekends between teaching and doing whatever other jobs they have. Really, really spectacular. If you can look and see all the way over there, there's the largest of the dots, so to speak. It's kind of like a big boulder. And then just off the coast of the boulder there are 4 other little islands. And there's a large one just at the cusp of the horizon there. That is Koh Samui, my favorite of all of the party islands. So yeah, in any case, in the last 4 years, Koh has turned into a real, kind of a hot spot for investment. And there's several new, brand shiny, spanking new resorts in the area. There's only one main strip up the road, and probably what is the most attractive to the sort of backpacker and the expat community is the waterfalls and the swimming pools. And unfortunately, this time of year, in the mid portion of the year, from say April to July or so, there's really no water. It's not the rainy season out here at all. So the waterfalls, of which there are 4 main ones, and the swimming areas, of which there are 2 main ones, there's really nothing there to do. I mean, the water's low, the waterfalls aren't really running. The height of attraction here is going to be the fact that it's so pristine and so vacated. It's basically just one big cove all the way down from tip to tip of either side of the cove, and there's nobody here. It's just your beach whenever you come. It's absolutely phenomenal. The thing I love about driving through Koh is the fact that there's so many palm plantations everywhere. I mean, the thing I love the most is that A, there's nobody here, but B, the scenery is spectacular. No matter where you go or what you do, you're going to be surrounded by almost population-free beauty on all sides. It's really gorgeous.
quick stopover in Phnom, I made sure to hit the paramotor rally. It's really interesting to see a crew set up for the launch. And while I couldn't find anyone with a two-person rig, I did talk one of the pilots into donning a GoPro and filming his tour of the Gulf skies. The best way to see southern Thailand is by motorbike. It's not like the north, where most roads are navigable by every kind of vehicle, and shuttles can motor you anywhere you want to go. In the south, the terrain is different, the road construction takes on challenges of its own, and they're a lot less used to foreign drivers. The parks are not as well marked as they are in the north. The roadways offer many more sites that you'd be remiss to detour in the south, and of course, it's about as cheap an option as one might want. If you want your own wheels, you can head to Suratani or Nakhorn Si Thammarat and find an English school where the expat teachers frequently come and go, selling their bike when they leave, just as you can do when your trip is done, making your money back and essentially traveling the country for only the cost of petrol. But above all this, a motorbike gets you into places like Nakhorn Si Thammarat, where history abounds and an entire city emerges off the highway that reveals an ancient and influential past. Made up of two halves, bisected by the clock tower, NST can be said to have two distinct districts. The historic south, which I'll discuss next, includes temples and ruins. The modern north is where you'll go for restaurants, shopping, hotels, and movie theaters. I lived in NST for many months, and I took advantage of the Kolong Nam Wang, or Municipal City Park, also known as the Princess Park, that is essentially the town's meeting place for after-school food stalls, outside exercise, and even nightly illumination that's all a glitz from one evening to the next. At the time of filming, the park had also been set up to present the live ballot count for the general elections. They were held February 2nd, 2014, many months early, as Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra asked King Bhumibol to dissolve parliament due to Thailand's political crisis. I recall the crowds watching with anticipation as violence had spilled over in many locations throughout the country. It was an interesting time to be in Thailand. I worked here in the south. twice actually, teaching communications and starting a filmmaking club. I enjoyed my time in NST, and I especially like the history of the town. Fun fact about Nakhon, if you were to rewind the tape a couple thousand years, the current city limit was actually the beach, boasting an enormous port. A process called silting has added several hundred hectares of land and moved the coastline farther out into the Gulf. The wall that currently surrounds the city used to encircle Nakhon on all its landlocked sides. The walls span 2,200 meters north to south, orienting themselves to the elongated shape of the city. From east to west, they span 450 meters, essentially fortifying about 1 square kilometer. This northern gate had only one portico, which is the last of all the wall's gates to remain. This entrance is called Pratuchai Nua, or Pratuchai Sak. In the historical records, the wall is said to have been erected around 1278 CE, and restorations were recorded during the 14th and 17th centuries, during the reign of kings Ramaswam and Narai, respectively. The latter was even logged into the history books with the assistance of a French architect by the name of Delamare. There were once 3 gates that connected the town to the sea, and they were said to have been the most heavily fortified.
This is an amazingly thick wall. From all the way back there to all the way over here is the actual width of the wall. On that side is the river that cuts right through the middle of Nakhon. And then on this side is, I'm thinking the outside of town, the outskirts of town. The main bridge entering the city would have been right over here. And to give you like an idea of how thick the walls are, there are little portholes where they would put cannon or maybe rifle barrels, or I don't know what they would shoot out of these things, or maybe they were just viewing ports. But in any case, they're like 4 feet thick, and that's just one side of the wall. Then it comes out for another probably 30 feet, and then another 4 to 6 foot wall on that side, on this side. This being the port for the river, I would imagine these were all lookouts. It's amazing. It's all brick, you know, layered in concrete, really strong. And it looked like it's been redone, or at least maintained. Most of this area is under construction, as you can probably see out this way, depending on where you're at when you're looking, because this place is huge. You can actually see kind of what it looked like before maybe the bridge was, you know, destroyed over time. Maybe. It's a lot of construction.
With a current population of only 120,000, the port of NST operated as one of the major hubs for trade throughout all of Thailand, importing and exporting goods from all over the world. From this period emerged Thailand's roots in both religion and culture. Lagor and Nong Talong, theater dance and show play, respectively, were just 2 of the resulting art forms that came about, and have found influence all over the Malay Peninsula.
So this should give you a relatively good impression of how thick just one of these walls are. And this is just one side. And the other side obviously is going to be fortified and the same size plus another 30 feet of stone and brick. Now these bricks are huge. I don't know if you can see, but much bigger than the size of a normal brick. It's about probably a foot long, maybe 3 inches thick, and at least probably 6 to 7 inches wide. And if you can tell, the wall not only is leaning this way to the right, it's also got sort of a wobbly pattern within the bricks themselves. Go in a straight line. It's probably at least 20 feet high. It's fortified on this right bank by a huge sand wall. Rivers on the other side. I love the culture. Nakhorn Si Thammarat is the perfect place to talk about how real life happens here in Thailand. And that's because it's far removed from the tourist beat. It's not a jumping off point for the islands or anything like that. And you're not going to have the same kind of crowds. It doesn't draw that sort of attention. Nakhorn Si is a mid-sized town in the southeast of the country near the Pacific coast. It's packed to the brim with museums and ancient temples and relics from its rich historic past. And most importantly, it's far removed from the tourist beat. I'm going to spend the day riding up and down Ratchadamnern Road, which is the main stretch of the town. It's an elongated town, so the streets all coordinate north to south. Nakhorn Si is a very ancient town. The dynasty of Nakhorn Si Thammarat dates back 1,500 years on the Buddhist calendar, so that's a mixed bag of qualities. The bad news is that there's a lot of stuff packed in one tiny little place, so there's lots of traffic, and with that comes lots of noise. But the good news is you don't have to go too far to see these amazing places. I'll see if I can get as much of them in as possible, but ultimately, you go to any one of these places, if you get the time to come out here, you're going to have a really rich, localized experience. So here I am at Wat Zantaram, and this is one of the coolest temples here in Nakhon because it's nice and quiet. It's secluded from everything, and it also happens to be the very first temple in the area. The monk who's burning leaves behind me is one of the keepers here. They have a lot of sand. The ground is very, very coarse sand, and the reason for that is because this area in Nakhorn Si Thammarat, this area in Thailand, it used to be on the coast. It used to be the beach, and the beach kind of cut along here and went up that way all the way to the first temple that I went to this morning. So in any case, this being the port of call for all of the Nakhon area, this is where the Hindu prince showed up to bring the, I'm obviously in his way, Nakhon. And so in any case, this was where everyone first arrived. This is the greeting temple, the temple that everyone came to and prayed to as soon as they arrived from wherever they came from across the ocean. The large bells, the concrete items behind the monk here and over here and several other ones around that direction are called zaide, and they're essentially tombs under which the previous monks that worked here have been buried. Looks like the monk in the zaide right here behind this monk was buried in the year 2537 on the Buddhist calendar. Anyway, go check out the grounds. The original groundskeeper's quarters are here. It's kind of like on the far end of town. The town doesn't go too much further, so it's kind of at the beginning of the town, and the rest of it's to the north. So it was nice and quiet, perfect little area for a groundskeeper and a temple keeper to live. So today has been absolutely epic. Nakhon is rich and rife with history and culture and stupas. Like this one, for instance, this one was actually built in 1257, they think. And it was built in the Ceylonese style, which is a Sri Lankan style of stupa construction. S-T-U-P-A is how you spell that. They also say stupa, I think. In any case, it's a giant bell, basically, and most of the time there's something buried underneath the bell, like the Buddha's tooth, or, you know, whatever, the glasses of, you know, Mahatma Gandhi or something. I'm not sure, but in any case, that's kind of what the theme is for these stupas. This is a very impressive one. It's one of the major ones that's the most well known here in Nakhon. It's got to be the biggest. I can't think of one that's any bigger. In any case, the restoration team started going at it like 1975, and it's got a little bit of graffiti here and there from when kids climb up and scratch stuff in it, but essentially it's still quite an impressive thing. These bands that they put around the outside, I saw a procession this morning where the Buddhist monks came and tied the same type of cloth and fabric around the bottom side of the bell just after the procession. And this is much in the same theme of like the prayer flags that they fly in Tibet and all those famous prayer flags that carry the prayers on the winds. And these are mostly just kind of a prayer that's dedicated to bringing luck or love or financial gain or anything or something like that to a loved one, or maybe to bring health and added security to somebody in the family or something like that. And that's what these are all about. It's really just crazy to think about how much history is in one place. I mean, coming from the States, you know, the earliest thing we have is a couple hundred years ago when we took the land from the Indians, and 1257. It's insane. All right, so it's the end of my day. I've seen temples and relics and all kinds of stuff, and this is actually 2 blocks from my house. I live right over that way, and this is called Nakhorn Park. It was dedicated to one of the king's daughters. But in any case, what it used to be was a giant prison. Right across the street is where I work, Kanliani School, and right behind me is the city center, the newer temple. They light it up every night, and the lights are always shifting from like blue to green to purple and red. It's really gorgeous. Around the perimeter, around the circumference of this park is 1 kilometer, and it's where I go to do my running also. It's very, very peaceful at night. There's people out here flying kites all the time and riding bikes and visiting with family and playing, you know, badminton and stuff like that. It's really peaceful. It's a very, very airy place to do your workouts and stuff like that. So I also thought it was a pretty fitting place to watch the sunset and check out the lights on the temple. Welcome to Nakhorn Si Thammarat. One of the coolest things I like about Nakhon, and in fact Thailand in general, is that no matter how many times you pass by a certain part of town, anything can spring up. There's very little warning. You just show up the next day and there's like a festival or a carnival or a band playing or something like that. And so that's what's happened here, right on the same grounds that I was at earlier yesterday, where they had the ancient wall dividing the town. Now they've got this sort of impromptu tent village full of knickknacks and food and all kinds of stuff. So let's go check it out. turns out that this one's just more of like a commercial sort of tents come together. It's possible that even all of the tent owners here are merchants that travel together and set up in a new town. I'm not really sure. I'll have to find out. But in any case, this is probably exactly like things have gone for like thousands of years. I mean, the technology obviously wasn't, you know, tilt-a-whirls and blow up Fun Town or whatever, but I mean, it's probably the essence, the tradition of the Thai culture, where one town would just host a band of roaming merchants or something, and it would be very, very similar to this. They would bring their cuisine in, and they would trade local goods and stuff like that. And the fact that this, I don't know, event is set right amid the backdrop of the ancient wall here. I mean, that's, I don't know, it just brings you back. Regardless of what's here now, you can still picture what might have been here before. Pretty spectacular, even though it's just a simple thing.
อันนี้ขายช้อนละ10 บาทค่ะช้อนละ10 บาท
10 บาท
อันนี้10 บาท
โอเค10 บาทสำหรับอันนี้สำหรับ
ที่ว่าเราทานกันเล็ก
โอเค10 บาท
เราได้บ้านนี้นะบ้านนู่นเลยได้ทุกอย่างนี่ซอส
ไม่เอา
แอปเปอร์ใครเอาไหม
ซอส
เอาต้องใส่อันนี้ต้องใส่แล้วได้พูด
โอเค alright
นี่เหรอ
alright
หน่อยได้พูดได้โอเคเป็นปลา
These are the cichlids. They're big bastards. It's a big head on that dude. They smell like cooked crickets. The legs are a bit tough.
อันนี้ท็อปเซลขายดี
Here.
very good
Yeah.
very good yes copper
มีน้ำไหม
มีน้ำไหมเหรอ
ทำไมมีน้ำไม่น้ำนี่ I need water because I can't swallow this, so I'm gonna go get some water. Thank you.
ก็กระแตงก็เป็นโจ๊ดนั่นแล้วดอกใช่แบบเก่งเนาะ
So I just ordered a chai yen, which is a Thai tea, and yen means cold, so it's just ordering a tea with ice. Just a little bit of ice, and it's 25 baht. What you're going to expect to pay though is normally 20 baht is enough for a Thai tea, but let's say the festival is an event, they probably charge a little bit more because of that. Check it out. They put coconut milk and the Thai mix and the tea mix, and then they give it to you in this little bag. Tie it up for you, and you can just carry it with you, and they stuff a straw into it, and poof, instant take along. All right, so I've got my roasted bugs and my Thai tea. Happy camper. All right, so this is an array of very common Thai noodles. This first one here is mama, and then it's actually called pat mama. Pat means noodle in Thai. This one is pat siu. I think this one is mee, pat mee, and then pat. Have you been all right? Pat mee too. That's right. And they fry all of them, but sometimes you can get them steamed and kind of like a mixture of frying and other stuff, depending on what they put in it. You'll almost always have vegetables, and sometimes you'll have pork. Today they don't have it with pork, and this one's just plain vegetables. Anyway, you'll see these all over the place. Yeah, they make good soup out of it. The mama noodles in the front here, they make tom yum mama, and tom yum is a very spicy soup. So they make tom yum mama, tom yum mu, which is pork spicy soup. My favorite dish, by the way. Okay. เป็น 20 บาท Okay. You want one?
Yes, please. And thank you.
So, what we have here is coconut ice cream. Check it out. They don't do the traditional cones like we expect in the West. Are these good? I'll try 1 กับอันนี้แล้วก็1กับอันนี้แต่ว่า1สำหรับอันนี้Wow, that looks good. Thank you. All right, let's see what these guys taste like. All right, so coconut ice cream. Yeah, it tastes like coconut. Very, very cold coconut. And this one, and the peanuts are great with that. The peanuts really give it like a, kind of like a different texture even, which is, I guess, obvious. Wow. So this is, I believe it's just another kind of coconut. It's just like a coconut gel, a gelatinized coconut put in with here. So it's like coconut on coconut with different consistency. Wow. Thank you very much. Alright, so this is called hai thod, and hai thod is just basically a kind of like a battered egg mixed with shrimp, or I don't know what the variation is, but this one's got seafood in it, which is called kun. Seafood is kun, so this would be like a hai thod kun, and then they put Brussels sprouts inside of it, fold it over like a taco, and then put like different seasonings and like a garnish on it. It's pretty cool. Alright, just like up in Chonburi, they've got these bamboo cooking items here. These are called chao lam, and what they are is, basically what they do is they put rice and coconut milk and some sugar, and they mix it all together and they cook it right in the bamboo. And the way that they know when it's finished is the bamboo is black on both sides, like this. And these are still green on one side, so when they turn it, it's going to be black on that side and it's going to be black on the other side, so it'll be done. Alright, so what they do is they slam the crap out of it with an axe. They put this lid part on here, I guess to keep it from splattering out. And then when it's split, you just open it. Like so. And it's kind of odorless. It's gelatinous. It's kind of like a very thick rice pudding. Oh, it's really good. Wow. This one's got beans in it, which is interesting. And I first thought they were like raisins, but they're beans. It's really good. Anyway, it's a very bold taste. It's unexpected, especially if you're used to just eating rice and it not tasting like anything, just being like a filler. But it really is good. It really absorbs the flavor of the beans and the sugar. I think that's all that's in it. Simple pleasures. All right, so this is what you call homok. Now, homok is made of fish, which is called blah, or blah in Thai. And homok is actually, generally, it's always wrapped in a banana leaf, and most of the time it's in a cup, like a muffin or something like that. ข้าวต้มนะครับอันนี้เป็น20 บาทใช่ไหมเอา1เลยแต่ว่ามีโอเคเข้าใจ So these are 20 baht. You can generally you can buy these in markets for 10 baht, 2 for 20. And so these are supposed to be pet marks, right? Pet noi. Okay, these are just a little bit spicy. So we're gonna find out what a little bit spicy means. Here it is. Try it out. This lady wraps hers in the banana leaf, and what they generally do is they keep it all together by a toothpick, which is right here. When you're walking around and eating food in Thailand, almost always in the markets and things, there's a gutter along the walkway. You just throw your toothpicks or your spoons in there, and they wash it down into an area where they clean it up later. So it's actually okay to litter. So this is what it actually looks like. It's very green. It's almost like a pasty curry sort of thing, and it doesn't smell that hot. Normally there's a little chunk of fish in the center when you have the muffin style. These are just wrapped, so I don't think it's gonna have it in there. They also generally have like kind of like a spinach type of green in there. Oh, very good. Sometimes they decorate it with a red chili pepper right on the top, just to make sure that it has enough spice for the person buying it. This one's got plenty of spice for me. It's not bad. Quite good, actually. It's got a hearty flavor, just a little bit of pep to it. It's a good snack. It's also not quite as fishy as you might think it is. If that matters at all, it is fish. The food in Thailand is unbelievable. There's so much variety. Take everything you know about food, multiply it by about 20, and then change the shape, color, consistency, and taste, and that's what you've got here in Thailand. They wrap things in skins or leaves, or they fry things that really shouldn't be fried, or they cook things in different ways, or they smear things on a hot plate and it turns into something else. I mean, they're very creative when it comes to making their cuisine. I can't imagine, maybe I have a limited capacity of cultural knowledge in food, but the food in Thailand is really amazing. So this is a Muslim place. They prepare food a specific way because they're Muslim. And in the south of Thailand, there's a lot more Islam than any other place in Thailand. And so all of this stuff that they have here can be prepared as pork, but it isn't. In this case, it's chicken or beef. Now this one here is very, very common to be cooked as pork. It's just the skin of fish, or I'm sorry, chicken skin that's fried. This is also chicken here. Chicken, obviously. But this one is the one that's almost always going to be pork. This one is it's a spicy pork mix. I'm not really sure what you would call it, but it's ground up. Normally, it's ground up pork with the peppers right into the grinder with the rest of the food. But in this case, it's chicken. So it probably tastes very similar, but it's chicken. Cut. How do you say yellow rice?
Just khao mok. Khao mok.
You say khao gai mok?
Khao mok gai.
Khao mok gai. This is another Muslim establishment. Apparently this is the Muslim quarter. Again, they don't do anything with pork and they prepare it a certain way. One of my favorites though is this yellow rice with chicken. It's called khao mok gai. And it just means literally yellow rice with chicken. And normally you find it in stalls where they sell to students, school children, things like that, because it's not really considered a full-fledged meal that adults would sit down and eat, but it's delish. This one is steamed elbow noodles with braised chicken and an egg soaked in tea or broiled with a heavy vat of like chicken broth. This is kind of a takeoff from, again, the pork. You can do the pork the exact same way. Boil it for hours inside of a broth. It cooks the broth down and makes it thicker. You drink the broth right in with the soup and the eggs go in there with it. Again, really, really good. They leave the bones in there too, which is weird, but it's a whole new culture, isn't it?